Wait, remember Mucha Lucha? Mucha Lucha was an American cartoon that premiered August 17, 2002 on Kids WB. And who didn't love Kids WB? Well, at least when growing up with it. Ozzy and Drix, hello? Kids WB hosted some great stuff, and some weird edits, and odd dubs for some shows. But for the most part, this was a staple for Saturday mornings. One of the core shows being Mucha Lucha, so today we're going to take a look back on this show, see what became of it, and how much we truly remember. Welcome back, or hello for the first time, to the 25 Days of Fringemas, where I cover something interesting, nostalgic, or holiday related every day from the 1st of December to the 25th, in order to find that holiday spirit I lost nearly a decade ago. So if you want to be a part of this daily journey and help me find that good old jolly joy, subscribe and come aboard. Mucha Lucha ran from its 2002 release until February 26, 2005, spanning 3 seasons. The events of Mucha Lucha take place in the fictional Southern California town of Luchaville, where nearly everyone in town wears a luchador mask and lives the luchador lifestyle, complete with costumes, signature moves, and donuts. The particular type of wrestling featured in Mucha Lucha is a form of professional wrestling popular in Mexico called Lucha Libre, or freestyle wrestling. Lucha Libre first emerged in Mexico early in the 20th century. Over time, it developed into combinations of colorful masks, unique characters, and famed wrestling moves that it is known for today, featuring either solo matches or combinations of tag teams, all with flair and theatrics. The iconic masks worn in professional Lucha Libre matches are treated as sacred embodiments of the individual, with certain high-stake matches going so far as to require the loser to surrender their mask permanently. As someone who was never into mainstream wrestling here in the States, I always did have a fascination with Lucha Libre. I always thought the masks were very cool. I mean, I loved Ultimate Muscle growing up. There was also Nacho Libre. Heck, even shows like Jackie Chan Adventures had some tie-ins to Lucha Libre. Mucha Lucha, which can be translated literally as a lot of wrestling, love that, you know exactly what you're in for, focused on a trio of young wrestlers during their time at the foremost world-renowned International School of Lucha, or FRFSL for those in the know. This trio of young wrestlers who call themselves the Three Masqueritas is composed of Ricochet, Bueno Girl, and The Flea. Ricochet is the main protagonist of the series and the self-proclaimed leader of the trio. He wears a red and blue uniform with a star on the forehead. He also works tirelessly throughout the series to reach his dream of being Luchador Supreme. Bueno Girl is a smart, by-the-book wrestler. She sports a white, purple, and green costume with a large purple ponytail. She adheres to the code of mass wrestling, often chastising those who break the code. Rounding out the trio is The Flea, a messy, semi-feral, but talented wrestler who dresses up as a flea, complete with antennas and a fuzzy brown costume. The Flea, despite his impulsive nature, he would do anything for his friends to help them out, especially if it involves trash. Acting as Ricochet's counsel throughout Mucha Lucha is the talking action figure El Rey, based on the famed fictional mass wrestler of the same name. El Rey acts as Ricochet's moral guide and lives more often than not in the young wrestler's backpack.
This summer, Kids WB's opening up the doors to our top secret animation studio, where you'll get a chance to make your very own mini Mucha movie. Wait up!
Watch Mucha Lucha, all new, coming up next on Kids WB.
Mucha Lucha was created by Eddie Mort and Lily Chin. Mort began his animation career working at Walt Disney Television Animation in Sydney before leaving to work at Nickelodeon Australia, where he animated several shorts for the network. Lily Chin, for her part, worked as a character designer, animator, and illustrator before working as a character designer and producer for Mucha Lucha. Chin and Mort formed Flock Animation, a Sydney-based animation studio in 2000. Through Flock Animation, Mort and Chin pitched Mucha Lucha to Warner Bros. Animation and Bardell Entertainment. Clearly, the pitch worked. Later on in the TV series run, we got to see a direct-to-video movie called Mucha Lucha: The Return of El Malefico that aired on October 5th, 2004. The villain, El Malefico, was a proper stakes-raising fit, but it really just felt like a longer episode more than anything. It was cool to see them at least expand on a story idea that was longer than their half-segment runs, but it definitely still had that feeling of a direct-to-video release. The first 2 seasons of Mucha Lucha featured music made by Michael Tavera, who has also made music for such shows as Time Squad, Lilo and Stitch the series, The Secret Saturdays, and more recently, The Ghost and Molly McGee. The show would come with a label though, being the first ever all-Flash animated series on broadcast TV. And yeah, it very much looks like a Flash production that we would kind of see on YouTube with the animators in the early days of the site, as well as other video platforms around the time even before YouTube's existence. And that's not to say it's ugly or anything, it's just not, detailed, I'd say. And it's also very much twitchy, some issues here and there with the animation. But they make up for it with all the different and varied unique designs for all the luchadors. Snoopy is the most adorable thing I have ever seen, and I've seen this. The show, while having these interesting characters, to me at least, feels like they don't do enough with them. Aside from showing off some really cool wrestling, nearly magical looking moves, it constantly feels a bit repetitive versus new or exciting. It just needed that extra little pizzazz either on the visual side or the writing side. I watched it a lot as a kid, but viewing it again as an adult, I'm far more put off by the show now, and that sounds a lot harsher than I'm intending it to sound. It just doesn't have that draw for me that it once did, which is heartbreaking because, again, I watched the heck out of this show growing up. The fan base for the show sure tuned in when it came to the show itself, but what about the off-TV offerings? Mucha Lucha had a 2004 Jack-specific toy line of Mix-a-Lot action figures, which allowed these body parts to be removed and switch with the body parts of other action figures in the series. Kind of like what we would later see with that like Skylanders thing where you would take the Skylanders apart and they would magnetize to the other one. Plenty of toys did that. I don't know why I chose Skylanders. I'm an adult, okay? Along with the Mix-a-Lot action figures, signature move action figures would also be released around that time with some success. I never had any growing up, but I had a friend who did, at least had a couple of them, and they were pretty cool overall. Didn't make me jealous or anything, you know. His parents loved him more than my parents loved me. I get it, I understand. Unfortunately, due to reaching only minimal success with the toy line, the second Mucha Lucha line of toys was canceled before production began, which can also indicate how a studio can now feel about the property, adding a small casted dark cloud over the brand. The show doing well is one thing, but if they can't make the money on the toys, is there even a show in general? Hey, don't look at me, I didn't say that, that's the company. In the summer of 2004, DC Comics released a miniseries based on Mucha Lucha written by Eddie Mort. The DC Comics series ended up spawning 3 issues. These comics included El Rey Come Home, It's All Bueno, and Limbo of the Lost Luchadors, with the events of these comics occasionally referenced in the show, bringing them into the overall canon.
Time for a flea bite.
Lovely says never beat around the bush. Get straight to the point.
In 2003, a Mucha Lucha Game Boy Advance game called Masqueridas of the Lost Code was licensed and rated as one of the lowest reviewed games for that console. And a PlayStation 2 game called Misterioso Grande was also scheduled but was canceled around 2004 as the creators couldn't find a publisher. In 2005, the network decided to cancel the series with no particular reason for the decision stated, but probably mainly due to dying ratings most can assume. That's usually the case. That and, you know, the toy sales just weren't popping off. But hey, in 2014, Morton Chin proposed a sequel TV show called Mucha Lucha Para Siempre, focused around the trio, but this time as teenagers working on their wrestling skills that, well, it didn't happen. Morton Chin went as so far as to produce a clip with the original cast of the series to pitch this show, but unfortunately, Warner Bros. Wasn't interested in revisiting the series. I know it was just a small animatic, but it's a little rough looking, but I am happy they are at least trying to push for something that they truly believe in. In 2017, Mort wrote the webcomic Mucha Lucha Tales from the Coliseo, which was supposed to serve as a continuation of the show. The first issue was published by Frogtown Comics, and it's been slow going for the congruent next issues. The show itself, the wrestling matches are really fun. It's mainly just yelling and some crazy looking powered up attacks, but at least we see all of the characters do something unique throughout the show's run. While I like the memories I had growing up with the show, it just unfortunately has that early 2000s smell on it, and not the good one. It has to do something with the way the Flash animation looks to me, and I hate that that is the reason that I can't get into it again. I do like the characters, and I'm glad they changed the things they did from the Lucha School pilot with Ricochet, Super Nina, La Cucaracha, and Cyclone. Wait, who is that? It doesn't matter. They never made it to the actual show. R.I.P. my friend. But none of this needs to bend to what my childhood expectations as an adult should be. It's just silly, wacky, and weird, and sometimes gross, but it's fine. It left me with memories I won't soon forget, and it's in full HD. Thanks, Flash.
You're welcome.
Wow, what a dumb joke. I hope that's not how we end the video. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on Mucha Lucha. Do you think it holds up, or is it something that didn't do it for you on a revisit? Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter. I'll see you tomorrow with another video for my next day of Fringemas. Check out the playlist to keep up with this month, but until then, later.